Commander Taman Park stood on the observation deck of the hidden Earth Defense Station, watching the sunrise paint the Korean mountains in gold. 200 years had passed since Earth last spoke to the galaxy. 200 years since the YI alien powers decided humans were too primitive to matter. The station was buried deep inside Mount Baekdu, invisible to any scanner. Taman had spent his entire life in these tunnels, training for a war that might never come. His father had built this place. His grandfather had designed it. 3 generations of Parks had prepared for the day Earth would fight back. Dr. So-Young Kim rushed into the observation room, her lab coat still smoking from her latest experiment. "Commander, we got a message. It came through the old frequency. Taman." Turned around. The old frequency meant only one thing. Someone from Earth was still out there among the aliens. "Show me." They walked quickly through the metal corridors. Earth Defense Force soldiers saluted as they passed. These men and women had never seen the real sky, but they trained every day to protect it. Captain Dong-Ho Lee waited by the communication center with Lieutenant Hee-Jin Choi. "Play it," Taman ordered. The speakers crackled with static. Then a voice spoke in Korean, urgent and afraid. "This is Jae-Woo Han, formerly of the Seoul Defense Corps. If anyone on Earth can hear this, listen carefully. I have been hiding among the aliens for 30 years. They think all humans are dead. They are wrong, but not for long." Taman felt his heart beat faster. Jae-Woo Han was a legend. He had disappeared during the last alien contact mission decades ago. Everyone thought he was dead. The message continued. "The galaxy is controlled by 3 powers. The Vorthak Empire can read minds. The Nexari Republic builds machines that bend reality. The Brahlan Confederation creates super soldiers. These 3 groups compete every 10 years in the Stellar Championships. The winner gets to rule whole sectors of space." Lieutenant Choi wrote down everything, her pen moving quickly across the paper. Captain Lee stared at the radio with wide eyes. "Here is the bad news," Jae-Woo's voice went on. "The next championship is in 6 months. The winner gets exclusive rights to mine abandoned worlds. Earth is on that list. They plan to strip our planet for rare metals. They think no one will stop them because they think we are all dead." Dr. Kim grabbed Taman's arm. "We have to do something." The message was not finished. "There is only one way to save Earth. Enter the championship and win. But Earth is not recognized as a real civilization. You would need to find a way to compete. The challenges test military power, technology, individual fighting, space battles, and something called the Champion's Trial. I do not know what that last one is. No one talks about it." Static filled the room for a moment. Then Jae-Woo spoke, again quieter now. "I know this sounds impossible. Earth has been alone for so long. But I have seen things. Humans are different from other species. We think in ways that confuse them. We survive when they say we should die. Maybe that is enough. Maybe we can surprise them. This is my last transmission. They are hunting for me. Remember Earth, fight back." The message ended. The room was silent. Taman looked at his team. Dr. Kim was already thinking, her eyes distant. Captain Lee checked his watch, probably calculating flight times. Lieutenant Choi stared at her notes. "Can we do it?" Dr. Kim asked. "Do we have a choice?" Taman replied. "If we do nothing, Earth dies. If we try and fail, Earth dies. At least this way we go down fighting." Captain Lee stepped forward. "Commander, my ship is ready. The Invisible Wind has been waiting for a real mission for 15 years. I can get us anywhere in the galaxy." "What about recognition?" Lieutenant Choi asked. Jae-Woo said Earth is not seen as a real civilization. How do we even enter this championship? Dr. Kim smiled for the first time in hours. "Let me worry about that. I have been working on something in my lab. Technology that might surprise even the aliens." Taman nodded. "How long do we have?" 6 months, Lieutenant Choi said, looking at her notes. 6 months to prepare for challenges we do not understand, against enemies we have never met, using technology we barely know exists. Then we better get started. Taman turned to the communication panel. "Get me General Yoon. Tell her it It's time to activate Project Phoenix. Dr. Kim raised an eyebrow. Project Phoenix? I thought that was just a rumor. A lot of things on Earth are just rumors, Taemin said. It keeps the aliens from getting suspicious if they ever do check on us. But some rumors are true. Very true. Captain Lee grinned. This is going to be interesting. Interesting is one word for it, Lieutenant Choi muttered, still staring at her notes. Impossible is another. Taemin walked back to the observation deck. Outside, the sun was fully up now. The mountains looked peaceful, but he knew better. Hidden in those peaks were weapons, ships, and soldiers. Earth had not been sleeping for 200 years. Earth had been preparing. The aliens thought humans were primitive. They thought Earth was forgotten. They thought wrong. In 6 months, the galaxy would learn that humans do not give up. They do not bow down. They fight back. Taemin pressed his hand against the reinforced glass and looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, past the blue atmosphere, alien powers were making plans for Earth. They were dividing up the planet like it was already theirs. They had no idea what was coming. The forgotten humans of Earth were about to remind the galaxy what it meant to underestimate humanity. The stellar championships would be very different this time. Earth was going to compete. Earth was going to win. Or Earth was going to make sure everyone remembered how hard humans could fight, even when, losing either way, the galaxy would never forget Earth again. 3 days later, Taemin found himself 2 miles underground in a cavern he never knew existed. The elevator had taken 20 minutes to reach this depth. His ears were still popping from the pressure change. General Sun Mi-yoon waited for him, at the bottom. She was older than he expected, maybe 70, but her back was straight and her eyes were sharp. Welcome to the Real Earth Defense Force, Commander Park. The cavern was enormous. Taemin could barely see the far walls in the distance, but what filled the space took his breath away. Starships, dozens of them. Some looked like human designs he recognized from old textbooks. Others looked completely alien, and some looked like nothing he had ever seen before. How? Was all Taemin could manage. We never stopped building, General Yoon said, walking toward the nearest ship. When the aliens left us alone, they thought we would stay primitive. They were wrong. We just got very good at hiding. Dr. Kim was already examining one of the strange hybrid ships. This hull plating is definitely not human, she called out. But the power core is completely our design. How did you combine them? A younger man approached them. He wore a dirty engineering uniform and had grease under his fingernails. I am Woojin Nam. I have been working on these ships for 10 years. Every piece of alien technology that ever crashed on Earth, we studied it. Every signal we intercepted from space, we analyzed it. Then we built our own version. Taemin walked around the ship. It looked rough, almost crude, compared to what he imagined alien vessels would look like. But there was something about it that felt dangerous, like a weapon pretending to be a tool. They work? He asked. Better than work, Wu Jin grinned. They surprise. Alien ships are built for efficiency, perfect angles, smooth surfaces, everything calculated. Our ships are built for fighting. They look simple, but they have tricks. General Yoon led them deeper into the cavern. We have 43 combat vessels ready for space. We have weapons that combine human creativity with alien power. But most importantly, we have something the galaxy forgot we had. Which is humans. A new voice spoke from behind them. Taemin turned to see a man in a white lab coat approaching. He was young, maybe 30, with thick glasses and excited eyes. I am Kyung-ho Ryu. I study genetics. I've been researching what happened to humans during our isolation. Dr. Kim looked interested. What kind of research? Evolution research. 200 years is not long for most species, but humans are different. We adapt faster than anyone expected. The aliens who abandoned us, they made a mistake. They thought we would stay the same. Instead, we changed. Kyung-ho pulled out a tablet and showed them charts and graphs. Human reflexes are now 20% faster than they were before isolation. Our brains process information differently. We can think in 3 dimensions while most aliens think in 2. And best of all, we are completely immune to telepathic control. The Vorthak Empire, Taemin said, remembering Jaewoo's message. They read minds. Not ours, Kyung-ho smiled. We tested it. Our brains developed natural shields. They cannot control us, influence us, or even read our surface thoughts. To them, human minds look like empty space. General Yoon nodded approvingly. This is why we can win the championship. Not because we are stronger or smarter, because we are different. Alien civilizations all think the same way. They follow patterns. They expect logic. Humans throw logic out the window and do whatever works. Dr. Kim was studying the tablet. This is incredible research. But we still need someone who knows how to fight in space. The championship will have combat trials. Already taken care of, General Yoon said. We found him. Found who? Hyun-woo Shin. Everyone went quiet. Even Taemin had heard that name. Hyun-woo Shin was the best pilot Earth had ever produced. He had disappeared 20 years ago during a scouting mission. Most people assumed he was dead. He is alive? Dr. Kim asked. Alive and winning races on the Outer Rim worlds, General Yoon said. The aliens know him as the ghost of Kepler. He flies ships that should not be able to do what he makes them do. They think he cheats. They are right, but not the way they think. Woo Jin laughed. Human cheating is not about breaking rules. It is about finding rules no one else thought of. We need to get him back, Taemin said. Captain Lee is already working on that, General Yoon replied. He and Lieutenant Choi left this morning. They have help on the outside. What kind of help? General Yoon walked to a wall display and pressed several buttons. A star map appeared showing the local galaxy. Red dots marked various worlds. We have been placing people among the aliens for decades. Deep cover agents. They think they are hiring skilled humans as workers or pilots. They do not realize they are talking to spies. One red dot pulsed. Min Seo-an. She works in Nexari weapons development. They think she is a talented mechanic. Actually, she has been copying their technology for 15 years. Another dot pulsed. Ji-ho Kang. He lives among the Vorthak. They cannot read his mind, so they think he is mentally deficient. Perfect cover for intelligence gathering. Taemin stared at the map. How many agents do we have? 37 scattered across alien space, all waiting for the signal to come home and fight. Dr. Kim looked up from the tablet she was still studying. This is amazing. But can we really fool the entire galaxy? The moment we show up at the championship, they will scan our ships, analyze our technology, study our biology. How do we hide what we are? Woo Jin and Kyung-ho exchanged glances. Actually, Woo Jin said slowly, we do not plan to hide it. What do you mean? We plan to lie about it, Kyung-ho explained. Aliens expect deception in politics and war, but they do not expect it in science and identity. If we register as a minor species from an unimportant world, they will believe us. They are too arrogant to imagine that the primitive humans of Earth could be a threat. General Yoon smiled. The best part is technically we will not be lying. Earth is a minor world in galactic terms. Humans are not a major species. We just neglected to mention that we are also extremely dangerous when motivated. Taemin looked around the cavern again. Ships, weapons, technology, and most importantly, people who had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Earth had not been sleeping. Earth had been getting ready. When do we leave? He asked. 2 months, General Yoon said. That gives us time to retrieve our agents, finish preparations, and practice working as a team. The championship registration closes in 10 weeks. We need to be there before then. Dr. Kim closed the tablet and handed it back to Kyung-ho. What happens if we lose? Then Earth fights the old-fashioned way, General Yoon replied. But we will not lose. Humans do not give up. We certainly do not give up our home. As they walked back toward the elevator, Taemin could not help but smile. The galaxy thought it knew everything about humans. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Earth was coming to the championship, and Earth was going to win. Captain Dong-Ho Lee had seen many strange things in his years flying through space, but nothing prepared him for the sight of Hyunwoo Shin walking out of an alien cantina on Kepler Station. The legendary pilot looked older than his pictures, with gray streaks in his black hair and new scars on his hands. But his eyes were the same, sharp and always watching. "You look terrible," Hyunwoo said in Korean, sitting down at Lee's table. "You look alive," Lee replied. "That is more than most people expected." Lieutenant Hee-jin Choi joined them, carrying drinks that looked safer than they probably were. "We have a message from Earth," she said quietly. Hyunwoo's expression changed. For 20 years he had not heard that word spoken with hope. "Earth is still fighting?" "Earth is entering the Stellar Championship," Lee said. Hyunwoo nearly dropped his drink. "That is impossible. Earth is not even recognized as a civilization. Besides, we would need technology that could compete with the Vorthak, the Nexari, and the Bralans. We would need military experience we do not have. We would need—" "You," Choi interrupted. Lee leaned forward. "How much do you know about what has been happening on Earth?" "Nothing. I assumed everyone was dead or dying slowly. The aliens certainly act like it. The aliens are wrong." Lee pulled out a small device and projected a hologram. It showed the underground shipyards General Yoon had revealed. "Earth has been preparing. We have ships, weapons, and people trained for this fight. What we need is someone who understands alien combat tactics." Hyunwoo stared at the projection. "Those ships, some of them look Nexari, others look Vorthak." "How?" "Long story," Choi said. "The important part is they work. Earth is ready to fight. The question is, are you ready to come home?" Before Hyunwoo could answer, a commotion started near the cantina entrance. 3 aliens in military uniforms were asking questions and showing pictures. Lee recognized the uniforms. Bralan security forces. "Time to go," he said. They left through the back exit and made their way quickly through the station corridors. Kepler Station was a neutral trading post, but that did not mean it was safe. Too many species with too many grudges all trying to do business in the same place. "My ship is in docking bay 12, Hyunwoo said. "It is fast, but it cannot fight an entire patrol." "We do not need to fight," Lee said. "We need to disappear." They reached the docking bay just as alarms started blaring throughout the station. The Bralan security forces had found something they did not like. Lee hoped it was not them. Hyunwoo's ship was small and looked like it had been repaired with whatever parts were available. But when the engines started, they sounded powerful. "Where are we going?" he asked. "First stop Nexari Space," Choi said, checking her notes. "We need to pick up Minseo-an." The ship lifted off and headed for the station exit. Behind them, more alarms were sounding. Whatever the Bralans were looking for, they were getting desperate to find it. 3 days later, they met Minseo-an at a repair facility on the edge of Nexari territory. She looked like any other mechanic, covered in grease and wearing worn work clothes. But when she spoke, it was clear she had learned things that would be very valuable to Earth. "Nexari technology is impressive, but it has weaknesses," she explained as they flew toward Vorthak space. "They depend too much on their computers. Their ships think faster than organic brains, but they cannot be creative. They follow programs. If you can make them face a situation their programs did not expect, they freeze." "What about weapons?" Lee asked. "Powerful but predictable. They calculate the most efficient way to destroy a target and then do exactly that. Every time. No variation. No surprises." Hyunwoo nodded. "I have faced Nexari ships in races. They are fast and precise, but they cannot handle chaos. If you can make the situation random enough, they cannot adapt." Their next stop was more dangerous. Vorthak space was heavily patrolled, and the aliens there could read most minds. Finding Jiho Kang required careful planning. They found him working as a janitor on a Vorthak military base. To the aliens, he appeared mentally simple, unable to form complex thoughts. It was the perfect disguise for someone immune to telepathic scanning. "The Vorthak are the most dangerous," Jiho explained. "Once they were safely away from the base, not because of their mind reading, but because of their arrogance. They think they understand everything because they can see inside most alien minds. They make decisions based on what they think other species will do. But they have never been inside a human mind. That gives us an advantage? Choi asked. A huge advantage. They will try to predict our moves by reading our intentions, but they cannot read us at all. To them, we will seem completely random. They will not know how to fight us. With their agents retrieved, the team headed for the championship registration point. It was a massive space station called Unity, built specifically for the competitions. Ships from all over the galaxy were arriving to watch or participate. Remember, Lee said as they approached the station, we are the crew of the merchant vessel Peaceful Trader. We represent a minor species called the Terrans from a small world on the galactic rim. We are here because our sponsors think we might provide entertainment. Who are our sponsors? Hyunwoo asked. Choi smiled. Some very wealthy aliens who enjoy betting on unlikely competitors. They do not care if we win or lose, as long as we make the competition interesting. The registration process was surprisingly simple. The alien officials were bored and efficient. They scanned the ship, recorded basic information about the crew, and assigned them competitor numbers. Nobody asked difficult questions. Welcome to the Stellar Championship, the registration clerk said in heavily accented galactic standard. Your first event is in 3 days. Military strategy simulation. Do not embarrass your sponsors. As they walked away from the registration desk, Taemin could not believe how easy it had been. That is it? We are officially competitors? The hard part comes next, Mincio said, looking around at the other teams. Now we have to actually compete against the 3 most powerful military forces in the galaxy. The Vorthak team was easy to spot. They were tall, thin aliens with large heads and pale skin. They moved in perfect coordination, probably communicating telepathically. Their ship was sleek and white, with smooth curves and no visible weapons. The Nexari team looked more like machines than living beings. They were humanoid but covered in metallic implants that glowed with inner light. Their ship was black and angular, covered in sensors and processing arrays. The Brahlan team looked exactly like what they were. Warriors, thick, muscular, and covered in natural armor plating. Their ship was huge and bristling with weapons. It looked like it could fight an entire fleet by itself. Well, Hyunwoo said, this should be interesting. Admiral Seok-jin-oh materialized from the crowd, wearing the uniform of a minor trading company but moving with military precision. The rest of our fleet is hidden in the asteroid field near the 4th planet. If things go badly, we have backup. Taemin looked around Unity Station. Thousands of aliens from dozens of species were here to watch the championship. Most of them had never heard of humans. In a few days, that would change. Earth was here. Earth was ready. And Earth was about to show the galaxy what forgotten humans could do when they finally decided to fight back. The competition was about to begin. The first challenge took place in a massive simulation chamber aboard Unity Station. Teams had to plan and execute military campaigns against computer-generated enemies. The catch was that every team faced the same scenarios, and their performance was measured against each other. Young Sik Lim had arrived with Admiral O's hidden fleet. He was Earth's best military strategist, though he looked more like a college professor than a warrior. Thin, quiet, and always thinking 3 moves ahead. The key, he explained to the team before entering the chamber, is that alien military thinking follows patterns. They have optimal solutions for every situation. We do not want optimal, we want unexpected. The first scenario was a classic siege situation. Enemy forces had captured a fortified city. The contestants had to plan an assault with limited resources. The Vorthak team went first. They used telepathic coordination to execute a perfect pincer movement, surrounding the city and applying pressure at weak points. Their casualty rate was minimal, their victory complete. The judges gave them high marks for efficiency. The Nexari team was next. They employed superior technology to overcome the defenses. Automated drones, energy shields, and precision bombing. The city fell in half the time it took the Vorthaks. Another high score. The Brolans simply charged. Their super soldiers absorbed heavy damage while crossing open ground, then tore through the defenses with brute force. It was brutal but effective. High marks for courage and determination. Then it was Earth's turn. Young Six studied the scenario for exactly 30 seconds. Then he did something none of the other teams had considered. He sent envoys to negotiate with the enemy forces inside the city. "What is he doing?" one of the judges asked. Young Six human team infiltrated the city disguised as refugees. Once inside, they started rumors about the attacking army's true intentions. They convinced half the defending force that their commanders were planning to surrender them to save themselves. The city tore itself apart from within. By the time Young Six's main force arrived, there was no organized defense left. His casualties were almost zero. The judges were confused. This was not how military strategy was supposed to work. But they could not argue with the results. The second challenge was individual combat. Dasam Jian represented Earth. She was a martial arts expert who had trained her entire life for this moment. But she was small compared to the alien champions, and she looked fragile. Her first opponent was a Brolan super soldier, 8 feet tall, covered in natural armor, with reflexes enhanced by genetic modification. The betting odds were heavily against her. The fight began in a circular arena surrounded by cheering alien spectators. The Brolan charged immediately, trying to end the match with one devastating blow. Dasam was not there when his fist arrived. She had moved sideways and slightly forward, using his momentum against him. Her counterstrike hit a nerve cluster behind his knee. The super soldier stumbled. What followed was not a fight in any way the aliens recognized. Dasam did not try to match strength with strength. Instead, she treated the Brolan like a puzzle to be solved. Every attack he made gave her information. Every defense he attempted revealed new weaknesses. 15 minutes later, the super soldier was on the ground, conscious but unable to move. Dasam had systematically shut down his nervous system using pressure points that Brolan anatomy textbooks said did not exist. The crowd was silent. No one had ever seen anything like it. The third challenge was technological innovation. Dr. Kim and her team had to demonstrate a breakthrough that would advance galactic civilization. The other teams presented impressive advances. The Vorthax showed improved telepathic amplifiers. The Nexari demonstrated faster-than-light communication. The Brolans had developed new armor that could adapt to any weapon. Earth's presentation was simpler. Dr. Kim showed the judges a small cube that hummed quietly. "What does it do?" the chief judge asked. "It thinks," Dr. Kim replied. She explained that human computer science had developed along different lines than alien technology. While other species built faster processors and larger memory banks, humans had focused on quantum consciousness simulation. "Your computers are very fast," she said, "but they do not truly think. They follow instructions. This device actually considers problems the way a living mind would. It can have ideas that were not programmed into it." To prove her point, she gave the cube a mathematical problem that had puzzled galactic scientists for centuries. Within minutes, it provided not just the answer, but 3 different approaches to finding the answer, including one that no one had ever considered before. The judges were speechless. Artificial consciousness was theoretical. No, one had actually built it. The fourth challenge was fleet combat. This was what everyone had been waiting for. Real ships, real weapons, real battle in the asteroid field near Unity Station. Captain Lee commanded Earth's small fleet. 5 ships that looked primitive compared to the sleek alien vessels. But appearances could be deceiving. The Vorthak fleet moved in perfect formation, their ships communicating telepathically for flawless coordination. The Nexari fleet relied on superior sensors and automated targeting systems. The Brolan fleet was built for frontal assault, all firepower and heavy armor. Earth's fleet scattered the moment the battle began. "What are they doing?" the observers asked. Military formations were not supposed to break apart like that. Lee had studied every battle recording he could find from the alien fleets. They all fought the same way, organized, predictable, following established tactical doctrine. Humans fought like pirates. Lee's ships attacked from unexpected angles. They used the asteroids for cover in ways that broke every rule of space combat. They coordinated not through advanced technology, but through pure human intuition and shared desperation. When the Vortex tried to read their battle plans telepathically, they found nothing but static. When the Nexari tried to predict their movements algorithmically, the humans did things that made no mathematical sense. When the Brolans tried to engage them in direct combat, the human ships simply were not there. One by one, the alien ships were eliminated, not through superior firepower, but through pure unpredictability. Earth's fleet won by fighting a kind of war the galaxy had never seen before. After the fourth challenge, the alien powers began talking among themselves. Something was not right about this Terran team. They won through methods that should not work. They seemed to break the basic rules of how civilized species were supposed to behave. The Vorthok telepaths reported sensing void spaces where human minds should be. The Nexari computers could not model human decision-making patterns. The Bralan warriors recognized fighting techniques that seemed familiar but impossibly evolved. Suspicions were growing. But before anyone could act on them, the fifth and final challenge was announced. The Champion's Trial. No one knew exactly what it would be. The trial was different every time, designed to test not just ability but character. Previous trials had included impossible moral choices, tests of sacrifice, and challenges that required competitors to cooperate with their enemies. As the teams prepared for the final challenge, Taemin realized that their secret was about to be exposed. The alien powers were too suspicious now. They would investigate. They would discover that the primitive humans from Earth were not as primitive as they claimed. But maybe that did not matter anymore. Earth had proven it belonged here. They had shown they could compete with the greatest powers in the galaxy. The only question now was whether they could win. The Champion's Trial was about to begin, and everything Earth had worked for would be decided in the next few hours. The galaxy was watching, and Earth was ready to show them what forgotten humans could really do. The Champion's Trial began with an accusation. "The Terran team has deceived us all," announced Supreme Admiral Kethvar of the Vorthak Empire. His pale face showed no emotion, but his large eyes glowed with anger. "They are not what they claim to be." The great assembly hall of Unity Station fell silent. Representatives from hundreds of worlds watched as the three major powers stood together for the first time in decades. When enemies unite against you, Taemin thought, you have their attention. General Korvax of the Brolans stepped forward. His massive frame was covered in ceremonial battle armor. These beings fight with techniques that match no known species. Their technology should not work. Their minds cannot be read. They are either using illegal modifications or they are lying about their origins. Nexari Prime Intellect ZX-7 projected a hologram showing detailed scans of Earth ships. Analysis indicates technology signatures that do not match any recorded civilization. Probability of deception, 94.7%. The chief judge, an ancient creature from a species so old no one remembered their original name, looked down at the human team. "The accused may respond to these charges." Before Taemin could speak, another voice filled the chamber. "The accused should not have to respond to anything. Earth's sovereignty has never been surrendered." Everyone turned to see a small group of humans walking into the hall. At their head was an elderly woman in formal diplomatic robes. Behind her came Admiral O and a dozen officers in Earth Defense Force uniforms. "I am Haewon Song, Elder Council, member and ambassador for the sovereign world of Earth. This is President Yoonji Lee of the Earth Republic." President Lee was younger than Taemin expected, maybe 50, with intelligent eyes and a confident manner. She walked to the center of the hall like she owned it. "Earth demands recognition of our right to compete," she announced. "We have broken no rules. We have committed no crimes. We entered this competition legally and competed fairly." Supreme Admiral Kethvar's eyes flashed. "Earth was declared a primitive world 2 centuries ago. Your species was deemed unfit for galactic society. By what authority? President Lee asked calmly. Earth never agreed to your judgment. We never surrendered our independence, we were simply ignored. There is a difference. The ancient judge consulted his records. The files show that Earth was classified as pre-civilized based on technological assessments. No formal surrender was recorded. Because there was no surrender, Ambassador Song said, Earth chose isolation. We decided to develop on our own, free from alien influence. That was our right then, and it is our right now. General Korvax snarled. Rights mean nothing without power to enforce them. Your world is defenseless. A single battleship could destroy your entire civilization. President Lee smiled. Would you like to test that theory? She gestured toward the viewing screens around the hall. They lit up, showing the space around Unity Station. Where there had been empty space before, now hundreds of Earth ships materialized. They had been hiding in the asteroids, cloaked by technology that made alien sensors useless. Fleet Admiral Jinwoo Park, commanding the First Earth Battle Fleet, announced a voice over the communication system. All vessels report ready for combat operations. The alien representatives stared at the screens in shock. Earth had not just brought a few experimental ships. They had brought an entire military force, but President Lee was not finished. However, we did not come here to fight. We came here to prove that Earth belongs among the civilized worlds of the galaxy. The champion's trial will determine that. The ancient judge looked confused. The trial was supposed to test the competitors against each other, but these accusations have changed the nature of the challenge. President Lee nodded. Then let the trial be about truth instead of competition. Let Earth prove its worth not by defeating others, but by demonstrating why diversity makes us all stronger. As if summoned by her words, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The viewing screens switched to long-range sensors showing massive objects approaching from deep space. Unknown contacts, reported the station's defense coordinator. Configuration matches historical records of harvester ships. Fear rippled through the assembly hall. The harvesters were ancient automated weapons left behind by a dead civilization. They had been dormant for thousands of years, but something had awakened them. They destroyed everything they encountered, turning planets into raw materials for their endless expansion. How many? The ancient judge asked. 50 confirmed. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. The alien powers looked at each other with growing panic. Harvester ships were nearly indestructible. Their technology was so advanced that even the combined fleets of all 3 major powers had never defeated them in direct combat. The standard response was to evacuate and hope the harvesters moved on to easier targets. We must begin immediate evacuation procedures, Supreme Admiral Kethvar announced. No, President Lee said firmly. We fight. General Korvax laughed bitterly. Fight? With what? Harvester ships have defensive systems that adapt to any attack. Their hulls regenerate damage. Their weapons can destroy entire fleets. Fighting them is suicide. Maybe for you, Admiral O said, stepping forward. But humans do not think like you do. We do not follow your rules. We do not accept your limitations. Dr. Kim activated her portable projector. Harvester technology is advanced, but it is still technology. It follows patterns. It has weaknesses. We just need to find them. Over the next 4 hours, something unprecedented happened. The 3 major alien powers, who had been enemies for generations, began working with humans to analyze the approaching threat. The Vorthak telepaths tried to scan the harvester ships for weaknesses, but their mental probes were blocked by alien technology. The Nexari computers ran millions of simulations, but every scenario ended in defeat. The Brahlan warriors prepared for battle, but even they knew their courage would not be enough. It was Youngsik Lim who found the answer. They adapt to direct attacks, he explained to the mixed group of human and alien military leaders. But what if we do not attack them directly? What do you mean? Asked a Nexari technician. Harvester ships are automated. They follow programming, written by beings who died millions of years ago. That programming is very sophisticated, but it is still just programming. It expects certain types of responses to certain types of threats. Dr. Kim understood immediately. We give them responses they are not programmed to handle. The plan they developed was insane by alien standards. Instead of fighting the harvesters with superior technology or overwhelming force, they would confuse them with chaos. Human ships would attack in completely random patterns. Vorthak telepaths would project false mental images to distract the high harvester targeting systems. Nexari computers would generate interference patterns that made sensor readings unreliable. Brahlan warriors would board damaged harvester ships and physically destroy their internal systems. When the harvesters arrived, they found something they had never encountered before: coordinated insanity. The battle was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships moved in patterns that made no tactical sense. Weapons fired at empty space to create false targets. Entire fleets deliberately collided with asteroids to generate debris clouds. To outside observers, it looked like complete chaos. To the harvesters' ancient programming, it was incomprehensible. The automated systems tried to adapt, but they could not adapt to randomness itself. Every time they figured out one pattern, the attackers switched to something completely different. Human unpredictability, alien precision, and desperate cooperation created a combination that the harvester programming had never been designed to handle. One by one, the ancient ships began shutting down. Their adaptive systems overloaded, trying to process too many contradictory inputs. Within 12 hours, all 50 harvester ships were either destroyed or drifting helplessly in space. The galaxy was safe. And everyone knew who had made the difference. In the aftermath, the ancient judge made his pronouncement. The champion's trial has been completed. Earth has proven not just its right to exist, but its value to galactic civilization, by demonstrating that different ways of thinking can solve problems that conventional wisdom cannot. Earth has earned recognition as a sovereign world and full membership in the Galactic Council. President Lee accepted the declaration with dignity. Earth is honored to join the galactic community, but we will do so as equals, not as subjects. We bring our own ideas, our own methods, and our own determination to solve the problems that face us all. Supreme Admiral Kethvar approached her after the ceremony. Your species is unusual, but perhaps that is what we need. The galaxy has become too set in its ways, too predictable. You may help us remember what it means to truly think. General Korvax was more direct. You fight like demons, but you fight for the right reasons. The Bralans respect that. Nexari Prime Intellect ZX7 processed for several minutes before speaking. Human problem-solving methods do not compute according to established parameters. This is interesting. We request permission to study your approach to chaos management. As Unity Station returned to normal operations, Taemin stood with his team looking out at the stars. Earth's ships were preparing to return home, but they were not the same ships that had left. They carried with them the